So, we're talking about intersectionality this weekend, and I kind of wanted to take the time to go through my own experiences with racism and like how that's affected me. I was reading through The Uses of Anger, Women Responding to Racism by Audre Lorde, and I actually felt like I had a lot in common with what she was saying. I thought it was really important. She said that she's seen situations where white women have like hear racist things, feel rage and anger, and then don't say anything because they're afraid of what might be thought of them or what would happen to them for speaking out against something that is not actually their group, I guess. Um, and I was thinking about it, and like it's very hard for me to like understand racism from a white woman's perspective because it's not something that I face, but I hear it a lot, and I do definitely get angry when I hear it. It's always kind of been one of those things that like I hear it and I'm there. I'm filled with rage. I couldn't watch the 42 movie because the Phillies coach was screaming at the guy, and I had to leave the room because it made me so angry. But I don't know how to express that, I guess, when it's happening. There's no way that I found to kind of express how I feel about it. But I realized that my first experience with understanding what like racism was and how it worked was in fourth grade. In fourth grade, we covered the topic of slavery for the first time that I ever had. My history teacher was like this super energetic dude. He was ridiculously good at his job. He's one of those guys who like never let the class go by without doing some sort of crazy activity that helped us understand. I don't even like history, and it was my favorite class the whole year. But this one day, we came back from recess, and he had us sit down, and he turned the lights off, told us to put our heads down, and close our eyes, and to imagine this. And I want you to kind of go through this with me, so do close your eyes and think about this. And this is what he said. Imagine that you are just getting out of bed. Downstairs, your parents are making you breakfast as they get ready for work. You're excited for school today. There's a field trip. But then you hear something. Down the street, there's somebody shouting. There's multiple people shouting now. It's men. Loud, angry. You hear shots. You don't know what they're saying. You don't understand the language. It's not your own. Downstairs, a plate crashes to the floor. Your mother yells at you to hide. And yet that's when you know that they're coming. That they're coming for you. You hear more shots. You hear more men shouting. You hide as best you can under your bed or in your closet or some ridiculous place that you think will keep you safe. You keep hiding as the men break down your door, as they grab your parents and drag them out into the street. You hear your father yell at them to leave you alone, to leave your family alone. You're hidden as you hear them ask your mother where you are, where the rest of the family is, and she tells them that there's no one else in the house. You don't move. You hear them yell at her, you hear them screaming, and then you cover your ears so you don't hear it as much. But you still hear them coming up the stairs, you hear them entering your room. They open the closet door, look under the bed, and they see you, and you see them. They grab you. You kick and scream as they drag you out, down the stairs and out of the house. You're shoved into a semi-truck packed full of other people. Some of them are your neighbors, some of them are strangers, some of them are now only bodies. They close the door and it's pitch black. People cry, they're screaming, they're shaking for hours or days. You don't know how long you're in there. You can't move enough to sit down. Your legs hurt. You don't know where your parents are. And the next 3 months of your life are like this. You're moved from one tight space to another. At some point, you think you must be going across the ocean. But that might just be because so many people are vomiting. Many people die, and it never really seems less crowded. It's months later when they finally put you up on a stage. Strange men come to look at you, to see how strong you are, to look at your teeth, to treat you like cattle or a pig or something that isn't the same species as them. They buy you. They don't buy anyone else you know. Maybe you've kept with your parents for that long. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you lost them a while ago. But now you're completely alone. And you're going to spend the rest of your life like that. Completely alone, harshly treated, and knowing that any life you had is lost. Now, I want you to imagine that the reason that this has happened to you is because you're a brunette, or blonde, or blue-eyed, or black. That's what slavery was, and those are the roots of racism in America. You can, kind of come back to me. So every time I think about racism and I hear stereotypes about different groups of people or hear about police brutality, this is the thing that I go back to. And I think it's something that not everyone has heard or gone through before. And I was in 4th grade at the time, and I didn't talk about it for weeks. I was in shock. I didn't understand exactly how racism worked, and it took a really long time, even afterwards, for me to understand that this was something that still affected people, and that not just slavery, but racism overall is a huge problem, and it destroys not only the lives of people, but also the very idea of a soul in those who are actually being racist. And I guess what I've kind of come to terms with is that racism in the end has to be solved from the inside. There are people who can change your world about things, but people who are angry because you're black or Latino or whatever, just they have to change within themselves, and they won't, and it makes me very angry. I don't really know how to deal with it. It's one of the things that I'm kind of hoping to go over in class, really, because I don't know where I fit into it or where I change things.